Hello, and welcome to On Mute Now Podcast Season 3. We are four ladies on a mission to raise the volume on the conversations that matter. To those of you joining us on the live stream, thank you. You can join in on the banter and lively discussions across our social media and other podcast platforms. Are you ready? Let's go.
Well, hello to our lovely audience and our listeners and those who are watching us live. Welcome to the season finale of the On Mute Now podcast. Woo, woo, woo. With me are my lovely co-hosts. My name's Angela. I'm your lead host tonight. Please welcome Natasha.
Hello.
And Raquel.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
And Yolande.
Hi, everybody.
It's so good to be here this evening, and thank you to everyone that has joined us and that will join us. We are looking forward to a wonderful time this evening, and because it's our season finale, we have some of you, our lovely audience, on the show live with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to invite, and please welcome, round of applause, please, for the only Reverend Nikki Ashwood. Please put your hands together for her as she joins us.
Yay.
Hi, everybody.
Nikki says she's top fan. No fighting now.
There's no question.
No question, right?
Undisputed top fan. Like, yeah.
Thank you. Welcome, Nikki. And please put your hands together. Round of applause and drum roll as we welcome Ezekiel Johnson.
Yay.
Welcome, Ezekiel. Thank you so much for joining us. And finally, but certainly not least, please put your hands together as we welcome Joe Ricketts. Whoop, whoop.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Joe. All right, guys. Now we know that you guys are going to bring a lot of banter and a lot of fun to this show. So we're really, really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So before we get into it, you know, we love to play videos from our lovely audience saying our tagline, but we thought since we have three people on with us today, why don't we throw out a challenge and have them do the taglines for us live right here? So here's how it goes. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. This is how it goes. We asked each one of our lovely guests what word for them would sum up the entirety of season 3 of On Mute Now podcast this season. And we asked them not to tell us the word, but to say the tagline in a way that expresses that word. And we need to try and guess what the word is. So we're asking you, for those of you who are joining us live, thank you so much. We're asking you to join in. Geraldine, thank you. Welcome. Hope, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We want you to join in with us. So as we have our guests saying the tagline, we want you to guess what word they're expressing that sums up season 3 for them. Okay, are we ready, people?
Yep.
Let's start off with top fan Nikki. All right.
I just knew you were going to do that today.
Go ahead.
Raising the volume on the whispered conversations in our community.
Ooh. Dynamic. I think I'm going with the word dynamic.
Make it a little more Jamaican and you're close.
Okay.
Up and down.
That's not
Wavy.
Roller coaster.
Wavy.
Vibrant.
We'll settle with vibrant.
Okay. What was the word though?
Bunununu.
I was going to say bunununus.
Nice. Thank you so much.
What on
All
earth
right.
is bunununus?
Bunununus, all you need to know is that bunununus is a good word, okay? Bunununus is a good word.
All right. Something new tonight. Okay, we're going to move on to Ezekiel. Can you tell us Give us your tagline and let's see whether we can guess the word. Geraldine and Hope and those who are watching live, please do guess along with us. If you can, just type it in. All right, go ahead, Ezekiel.
So raising the volume on the whispered conversations in our community.
Nice, thank you. That
Exciting.
sounds like another no.
The word is bulununus.
Is it joyful?
Exciting.
I'm not
Dynamic?
giving any clues.
Same time.
Raising
It's
the
got to do
volume.
with music and sound.
I suppose
Okay.
we raised the volume indeed.
Crescendo.
Ezekiel. We were loud.
Yes.
Crescendo.
Yolande, you're getting warmer.
Okay, getting
was
loud.
loud?
Turning up the
Did we turn
What
up
was
the
that,
volume?
Tessa?
I said, was it loud?
It turned
Come
up.
again, Natasha.
Amplifying.
Amplify.
Hey,
You got it.
nice. Thank you,
Yes,
Ezekiel.
raising the volume. Yes.
Yes.
And
Thanks,
Camille said raise
Camille.
the volume. Yeah.
Yeah, you were there. All right, Joe, go for it.
Our host, Angela, Raquel, Natasha, and Yolande, raising the volume on the whispered voice, whispered conversation in our communities.
Solid.
Articulate.
Professional.
Family.
Clear.
Comfort.
Happy.
No.
Say it one more time.
Deliberate.
Teamwork.
Raising the volume on the whispered conversations in our community.
Community.
So get in
What
there.
did you say?
No,
Get in there. Come on. Go on.
Somebody said
Soothing.
inclusive. Geraldine says inclusive.
Cool.
Okay.
I said
Get-
deliberate.
Get in there. Get in there.
Cool.
Okay.
Right,
Together.
harder than its own.
Purposeful.
Get in
Give
there,
it to us,
Raquel.
Give it
Get in there, Raquel.
Deliberate.
Intentional.
Deliberate, purposeful.
Maybe I'm not good at acting or something.
Important.
Maybe I'll get a clue or something.
Give us a hint.
Yeah, give us a hint.
What do you do before you get married to someone?
Proposal.
Engaging.
Yes,
Engaging.
Natasha. Yes.
Yes.
You want me on
Thank
your
you.
team for Pictionary.
Well, I'm not good at
Focus on
acting,
the
so
role.
therefore that will have to do.
Thank you.
No, that was good. Oh, thank you all so much. Fantastic. And listen, our lovely audience members, please type for us what word for you wraps up season 3. If you can't think of one word, you can go for 2 or 3, but just type and let us know what wraps up season 3. While I ask our hosts, just tell us briefly what word for you wraps up season 3. I'm going to go to Yolande first.
Boy, actually, somebody in the list of words that they guessed, I think, when was it? Ezekiel? I don't remember, but somebody named the word. And this is the only word that I could have found that was a single word to describe how I experienced the season, the emotions behind it, the planning, etc. And the word for me was roller coaster.
Yeah.
Plain I and said it. simple. Up and down moments, good and bad,
Yeah.
great times and times when I just felt like I can't wait for this to be over.
No, absolutely. I think I would have gone for that as well. I got to find another word now. Okay. While I come to you, Raquel, what's your word?
I think, even though I agree with Yolande, the word that came to me first was exciting. Exciting.
Yeah.
It has been exciting doing this live. And yes, it has come with challenges and with unexpected moments. But I think we could still say, and I suppose roller coaster up and down is exciting. So yes, exciting.
Okay, cool.
I
And
like
Natasha.
Geraldine's word in the chat, pioneering.
Pioneering. Oh, that's
I love
fantastic.
that.
Well, that makes us feel
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Geraldine.
you.
Nice.
I would say it was a whirlwind. We didn't get much time
to breathe or in between. Whereas our first 2 seasons, we used to air twice a month, so every other Friday. This season, it was every Friday. So the time that we would normally have in between to do our own things and prepare for the next, we didn't have that time. So it was all engines go all time, every week. And this is in addition to our own personal, work and things that we're doing. So it was a whirlwind. It was very quick. I think this is the quickest season ever because it's every Friday, as opposed to, I said, normally it would go like 2-3 months. So it was a whirlwind.
It was a
quick.
whirlwind.
Yes.
Absolutely. My word is drama. It's dramatic for the reasons really I think that everybody has said, and particularly Yolande said, up and down the emotions. It was a lot of drama going on in each of these episodes, but no, all in all, it's been good. I think generally it's all been good. So thank you. All right, I'm going to ask you, Nikki. Let me come to you. Okay. Now, Nikki, I think the truth is you put top fan, and I think not many of us can argue with that, to be honest, right? You have been a loyal and vocal follower of the podcast, I think right from the very first episode in season 1. So I'm interested to know from you, how would you describe the journey with us from the audience perspective?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't sure what it was that I was expecting because the podcast I'd been familiar with in the past, you had to plug in some headphones and listen and pray that you stay awake for the duration. But one of the things I loved is that from day one, Unmute sought to not just raise the volume, but raise it sometimes even with humor, even for the hard conversations. And remember, y'all have had a few, even in the ones where you deal with issues like domestic violence and racism, you still manage to inject that moment that would not just generate thought-provoking moments, as Camille is saying, but once in a while you even had humorous moments. And then I also love the fact that you intersperse heavy conversations with some light moments. So like, when you were talking about friends and when you were talking about parents and then the one about weddings and marriage and when certain people put sugar, teach the people in cake and all of that. I mean, it was just, but I've cried with you all. I've laughed with you all. I was able to express with the team and feel that what I said was being heard. And I know that I've private chatted with some of you in saying, here are some thoughts you could use to improve the quality of the production. And I've seen it come to pass. And for me, that's a big deal because I believe in UK Pivot. I believe in Unmute Now. And I have seen where you all, in my mind, have grown from strength to strength. And I'm just like, hats off.
Oh, right back to you, Nikki. Oh my goodness. What an encouragement. Thank you so much. I just want to get reaction from any one of the hosts on what Nikki has just said. I want to cry.
No, not crying, not today.
That is so lovely. So lovely to hear that. Because no lie, folks, a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. A lot. Way more than you realize on a night. And to hear how much it's valued and how much it means to people from our audience, that's
amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Yolande.
For me personally, I'd like to add quickly that I know, in all honesty, Nikki is Raquel's sister, but she's become a sister to me and perhaps to all of us on the podcast. For me, I think it's interesting to hear that the podcast impact at least one person, because I'm being very honest. I feel one of the issues that I have struggled with is the fact that I'm concerned about growing our audience. And sometimes it's not as important, but it is, to have a very large following. But it is also more important if you can even impact one person or a few persons in the community. So if our podcast is impacting 1 or 2 persons, then it is still worth the effort. Absolutely. I mean, that would be my view.
Absolutely, absolutely, totally agree with you. Every single one counts. Thanks, Yolande. And Camille, thank you so much. You said, I think your word is thought provoking for describing the podcast, and we can imagine how much work is put into it. God's continued blessings. Thank you so much. Amen to that. All right, Ezekiel, let me come to you now. We love the perspective that you bring to the discussions that we have in the podcast. We love the way that you just contribute to it, and I'm just curious to hear from a male perspective why you keep tuning in.
The four women. The four women.
I never had enough of women,
Well,
No.
I take the position.
Just before I answer that question, just a moment ago, I just had to clear my throat, and for some reason, this is poignant. I hit the mute button, and it rang in my head, unmute now. So this, I believe, for me, following the podcast, the issues, the topics, the discussions we're having on mute now are relevant. And for me, it is one of beating, the stress of COVID, staying indoors. These are conversations we could have with friends, we could have with family, we could have with people, face to face. But we don't have the luxury of that face-to-face meeting as we usually would have. So it is an amazing opportunity to catch up in that way. And also, in terms of a male perspective, I don't see the conversations as something that should be reserved for maybe females or ladies alone. But I see the issues as issues that are of importance to the whole community. And as a matter of fact, I enjoy myself with the issues. I don't see it as an issue that is being addressed or being relevant just to the females in our community or the ladies in our community. So from a male perspective, I see this as equally a platform for men as it is for women.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. And yeah, Tassa, go ahead. What's your response to
No, I was
that?
just telling him to spread the good word.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
sometimes people might see 4 female hosts and think, oh, it must be a women's thing. But
yeah,
just let them know the topics apply to everybody. And yeah, thank you for those
absolutely.
comments, Ezekiel.
Absolutely. And that's such an encouragement for us that you see it in that way and engage in that way. So yeah, thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you.
I
All
like the
right. Oh,
I like the fact that we're a practical resource of easing mental stress in this
yes.
scope.
Yeah,
In
We'll
this
take
especially in
it.
lockdown.
Yes. But really it probably started off for us as an avenue in the context of COVID. So we're glad that it's the script is flipped, that it is a practical resource that people can resort to as well, and we're glad for that. And I have to apologize if there's any sniffling or coughing that anybody heard inadvertently. I have a throat thing and I'm trying to hit the mute button. Sorry. So sorry.
But we're used to unmuting now, so I guess it doesn't come naturally
Exactly.
for me, right? All right. So Joe, I'm going to come to you now. And Joe, it's fair to say that you have had our back from day one. Like we felt that. And you've done a lot of things in the background to help us out. So I'd just like to get from your perspective, because obviously you have a lot of involvement in the community you've had over the years. So when you think about the podcast from a community perspective, what stands out for you?
Thank you, Angela. What stands out for me is that the voice of the community is being heard from our own perspective. Often you hear podcasts and you hear things being presented, and it coming from a second opinion. So I think coming from our own community, it's more authentic as well in terms of people we're presenting real feelings and real situation that people are facing, and the other thing about it as well is thinking out of the box. We have 4 ladies here, 4 of the powerhouses from our community, ladies who can think out of the box and present topic in a more simplified and fun way. As myself, I was working in the community sector for a long time. We often go to meetings and we hear of very complicated topics being presented and statistics. And often the average person on the ground do not know what people are talking about. So it's good that these things that affect us are simplified and people can, enjoy it, but as well as so to say we connect with that. That's what I'm feeling, that's what I'm facing, and I think that is very important as well. So it's real time, it's engaging, and the topics we find them very interesting as well. For example, we're talking about simple things as friendships. Everybody has friendships and all those sort of nuances of friendships. I think that is very important for us to talk about those things, to see what we have in common and differences that we have as people.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Joe. Oh, wow. You said basically hearing the voice of the community, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's our tagline, raising the voice, the volume of those community conversations. So thank you so much for that. That's amazing. Geraldine says, well said. Thank you. James said to Ezekiel, you are on point. Thank you, guys. Keep it coming. Keep chatting with us. Keep chatting with us. Thank you so much. All right, ladies, the host, I'm going to come to you now. I think if the truth be said, there was a lot of nervousness when we first broached the idea of going live with this season, right? Somebody's name in particular, I will not mention, was doing doing backflips and whatnot mentally. So my question to you, now that we've done this, any regrets? Let me start with you, Yolande.
I see people, I have to say, I hope the audience knows and have realized people are always picking on me. But
I did not say a word, Yolande. I didn't mention any names.
You never call my name. So we can't call no phone.
I mean, I really think, in all honesty, I would not go back after having initial reservations and wondering how this life thing would work, how many mistakes I would make, how much of a fool I'll make of myself. I really wouldn't go back. I don't have any regrets. I think in terms of the technical aspect, I have now come to have fallen in love, more in love with James, and he's got to show his face at some point tonight. James has taken away the stress of the pre-production work and the post-production work, and that was a big part of the stresses that we would have faced as a group, but as an individual, and just the experience, it forced you to sort of think on your feet and to be able to articulate your thoughts on your feet as well. And that's development for us as individuals within the community and looking to represent the community on many levels.
Absolutely well said. And James, you've been given a heads up. You've got to show your face at some point, so go powder the nose and get ready. When it comes to makeup. Thanks, Yolande.
I have to commend you guys on your aesthetics and your main frame. It looks appealing. Really look
James.
Yes.
Thanks, James. All right, Natasha, let me come to you. Any regrets?
No regrets. Even though I said it was a whirlwind and we didn't have time to breathe in between episodes like we normally do, I found that it kind of kept the momentum. And even from our very first season and our second season, people always coming up to me, Ezekiel, you're one of them, and saying, why don't you have this every Friday? Why do we have to wait so long for the next episode? So I think that going every Friday, now we've created a relationship with our viewers and our listeners who come to expect us on a Friday evening. And I like the speed of going live. It can be challenging because you're expressing we're just like everybody else. We're expressing our own personal opinions. And when that thing goes live and you're talking, you can't take back what you say. So, you have to give us some grace sometimes for expressing our opinions, but we just wanted to be authentic and just bring it to you, just like how we normally have our conversations amongst ourselves. So I've enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great. And you know what? Just reflecting on last week's episode, that was an interesting one where there was a lot of emotion. And I look back at that. It said some things really strongly, but it said that's it. That's the dynamism of going live. Yeah. So Raquel, let's come to you. Any regrets?
I have a small regrets, maybe one or two little regrets. Like for instance, I regret not going home after the winter wellness walk. I should have gone home where my studios system is set up for Friday nights. I didn't, and I don't know how many of you heard the police siren in the background. And that was the week when I froze, like first sentence. And then, so I should have gone home that week. Should have gone home. And then last week, I should have told y'all just how sick I was feeling. I should have told y'all just how unwell I was. So little regrets like that. But overall, just like everybody has said, it has been a whirlwind. It has been a serious learning curve, but absolutely wouldn't really change it. Even when Yolande was having to drop out and drop back in again, wouldn't change.
We all had our dropping outs and dropping ins.
Oh, we sure did. We sure did.
Very many.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any regrets at all, even in spite of all of the, tech issues. And there was a lot of that, I have to say. But I think we just kind of, we rolled with it and it just kept going. And thank goodness we didn't all drop out at any particular point. People were able to just kind of keep going. So yeah, no regrets. And absolutely loved it. So we hope you did too, our live audience. Just go ahead and talk to us. Tell us what you thought about it. Especially those of you as well who have experienced previous seasons. Just tell us what your thoughts are now about the new format. Okay, I'm going to push forward now. And I'm going to ask you guys, what for you? I'm going to start off with our hosts. I'm going to start off with you, Natasha. What were your standout or funny or light bulb moments? What stood out for you when you think about this season?
When I think about this season, at first, when we said we're going to go live, my first thoughts were tech. Oh my goodness, I hope we don't have any freezing. And all of that happened, but we managed to overcome those obstacles. And then I was thinking, boy, when you're doing post-production, you have the opportunity, if you want to change something you've said or you think you didn't communicate it effectively, you can go back and do it. When you're live, you just have to make sure you get it in that shot, hopefully. So it kind of, as Yolande alluded to, it kind of helps to develop, your thought, your quick thinking process, and to just relate in the moment, not to think too deeply about it, and also just liking the interaction with the audience members as well. I think that's one aspect that I like, and that I think we should continue in the future.
Okay, cool. I'm going to come to you guys, our guests, a little bit later, but I'm just going to come to Raquel first of all. What then for you was a light bulb moment, a standout moment, a funny moment, a haha moment, whatever it was?
There are too many. I actually have a number of things jotted down for this one, right? And there are too many, but I'm going to mention a couple. One of them is when Angela, in season 1, when we were talking about code switching, when Angela said, "I nearly spoke in tongues."
I remember.
So yeah, I mean the shock too of when she told us. I think this was when we were talking about the heart of giving, about when her husband walked through the door with the big huge pot, and
yes,
I have no idea why they've given me this, and she turned out with, "That's exactly what I need." So
yeah,
so those are two of them. But on a more kind of encouraging note, I loved the moment. Some of us didn't even notice that he said it, but I loved the moment when Leo Brown in episode 2, in Reimagining Failure, and he was talking about the impact that we have made on him, and he said, "That's where I got it from, obstacles into opportunities." And I thought, if nothing else happens this season, that really, that was
that's precious. That's precious. Thank you for reminding us of that, Raquel. Thank you. All right, I'm going to come to you now, Ezekiel. What for you, well, maybe there were one or two, what really stood out for you as you think back over the season?
Yeah, I think one moment that I was very engaged in is when we were talking about, I can't remember the topic, but it was about, I think, language and proverbs and all that. I was really, really interested in. I think, excuse me, Yolande, you've got company. So I think what I got from that is the fact that language can be so unique, um, even within a certain group who may be identified as having one language. There will still be people who do not actually understand words when they are woven together, words that they would understand individually, independently, but when they're woven together in a certain way, they will not understand. It's so amazing. And for me also, in terms of the group, in terms of the panel, in terms of the host, I believe you bring that sort of dynamism that sort of stands out to me all the time. But the
True.
fact that, excuse me, the fact that like we're dealing with the same issues, but the fact that the issues or the approaches and the sort of inputs coming in are so diverse, in the sense that, for each contribution you get something new, for each contribution you get something wonderful. I'm so pleased that I follow this. And also, just last week, the card got me going wild.
Thank you, Ezekiel. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to come to you, Yolande. What were your standout, funny moments? Go ahead.
I mean, I'm gonna look at it from, I'll mention an episode that was perhaps the most interesting or enjoying, the one that I enjoyed the most. Sorry, um, that was aging gracefully, despite the fact that I was on the move and trying to do a podcast whilst in the airport, and still wearing my mask. But yeah, that I personally related to that topic, because I personally feel like I am experiencing aging in all its graceful forms. But looking at in terms of an aha moment or things like that, whenever I'm part of the podcast, I begin to think of new ideas. I sit down and I watch and I listen and I begin to articulate in my mind, well, what can we do next? And so for me, and maybe I'm preempting things as usual, I personally feel that our podcast thrives a lot on the involvement of our guests and what they bring to the podcast.
Truth.
And I believe that whenever we can have professionals on, that's not to say that our voices aren't good enough. What we bring isn't good enough, but I would definitely love to see a full season where we have just every episode with a guest on, just to add more to the conversation and to really inform and educate our audience as much as we can. So hopefully that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I'd be interested actually for the live audience, just to hear your thoughts on that. Would you like to see more episodes with more guests? Just give us some feedback. And what about Nikki, Ezekiel, and Joe? Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's kind of mixed. I think there are times when I really want to see other voices chiming in, but I think I want to echo Joe in saying that, boy, there's something about seeing four powerful Black women taking your space, making it your space, and inviting us in to your parlor. 'Cause that's how I feel, like I'm entering in your parlor. But sometimes, yeah, having a guest is good.
Yeah. And Geraldine says guests are great. Yeah, thank you. Joe,
Thank you.
Ezekiel, do you want to chime in on that?
Yes, I think guests are great as well. Bringing in different point of views and uh, different point of view on different subjects as well. But also the chosen guest that flows with the sort of platform that he has. Because sometimes you can have a guest that pull the whole energy of the podcast down, and
Yeah.
it gets boring.
Yeah.
So that's something that we would want. But because what we're feeling from the energy from the four of you on here is that you're pulling the audience in there, you're getting that engagement, and you just need to keep that energy there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
You-
Ezekiel, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is we remember our tagline. It says raising the volume. So anybody who can come and help raise the volume, like Joe said, is amazing. And one other thing, guests are really good for when you're short of words.
That's true.
And not just when you're short of words. I think guests are also good for when people disappear mid-sentence, right? Not calling any
Very
names.
true. Very true. Thank you, guys. So, Yolande, I'm going to come to you because, in terms of funny standout moments, you've got a couple for us, right?
Oh, no,
Well-
let me go hide my camera from now.
Well, James and I have been, and this was brought on totally by last week's episode. I thought last week we cannot have the grand finale without some blooper moments. And so last week we really saw how the tech gremlins were at work. We've alluded to that a lot in tonight's conversation. So I'm going to have James show you 2 consecutive video clips, and there were many other moments, but I'm going to have James show you 2 consecutive video clips of where the technology gremlins were really at work. James, help me here. So what we've done is we've decided to play as many as we can tonight. All those that have been so good to us have sent those in over the last 8 episodes. We've played as many as we can. I can't remember all the names, but Tara, Desiree, Nico, Tia, thank you so much. If you hear any background noise, blame Angela. Blame Angela. Angela, you're back.
Gremlins at work. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. So, Angela, you're back. The question when seriously,
There's a chat again. In and out the window, Mezu. That is Angela.
you see, next week I'm gonna preempt it now. I'm gonna really be calling next week Wilding Out, because I'm gonna be remembering all the crazy things that happened for the past 10 episodes. It's where we're gonna be taking the mick, as they say in Northern Ireland, out of each other. Natasha, you be prepared, because I have a lot coming for you next week.
Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you for that lovely welcome, Natasha.
No, well, we'll come back to Patricia in a wee bit. Are we having some problems there with Tara? No worries.
Natasha,
Patricia, she's ready for us.
Natasha, I think we're all hearing everything loud and clear except Natasha.
We've just lost Natasha.
So, Natasha, you're back.
Just
Yes, for the first time ever. I never had the technology gremlins, and then I got struck 2 times in a row. So I'm so sorry about that, Patricia, but I'm sure one of the ladies handled you just lovely.
Oh dear, I see Natasha is circling again. Brilliant. I'm glad Natasha is back. Over to you, Natasha. I know you want to play a clip.
Apologize to the listeners and the viewers. I don't know what sort of technological problems I'm having, but anyway, I'm on my mobile phone, so I hope you can see and hear me. And I'm using my 4G and not my Wi-Fi, which is very unreliable.
Oh, is Natasha back?
Yeah. I don't know what is going on. I think my technology wants to keep me in the holiday mode. It's not ready for working. But
You have an echo, Natasha, so maybe we'll just take it out for you. We'll just Raquel, and we've seen 2 of you, Natasha, so welcome to both of you. Listen, honestly, you see, I have to say, for the purposes of those who might be listening, the first one when I said, Angela, you're back, wasn't anything repeated tonight. It literally was several times in the show. Angela, you're back. Angela, you're back. Natasha did not have a single word in that episode, the second clip that she was meant to be hosting. Her appearance was simply an apology on every return. But anyway,
that was absolutely hilarious.
Oh my God. Listen. So anyway, the next one I want to show very quickly, and people forgive me, Natasha is my buddy, but here,
Oh dear.
I made an effort tonight, but does anybody in the audience notice, like I did, that Natasha's makeup is the only makeup amongst us that's always on point? Now I'm going to show you this clip, and there's a backstory to this. Thanks, James. Yes, go ahead with that. The second clip. There's a backstory to this one.
Oh dear. Yolande, I'm gonna get you for this.
I know.
Well,
And they talk
maybe I
about
don't
us
know if
picking
our
on your
producer
land.
is now having technology.
You see, the technology
Good. Now
green
you have your
working for you,
gremlins.
Natasha. Same so. The
Oh
How did
gremlins
dear.
work
Natasha
just
have
around today.
get money to have two of her on the screen at the same time?
I was logged in on my laptop and I froze. So I went to log in on my mobile and then both came on at once.
Oh goodness. All right, I think we might be having issues with that second one. But no,
Okay.
Yolande,
Right,
I think go ahead.
Go ahead, Yolande.
Oh no,
No
no.
way. No way. Gotcha. Perhaps you're right for picking on me and Natasha.
Karma was swift.
The gremlins,
Oh
the
no.
bridge, man.
Oh
But you know, that raises one of the issues that I really want to commend you for, because I think one of the things that stands out for me is that you all have each other's back. In the midst of laughing about the gremlins, when I remember the week when Angela got cut off mid-sentence, likewise with Cass, you were like, okay, she's gone, she's hosting, and y'all just picked up as though nothing happened. And I was like, this is live. Y'all didn't have a chance to fully, or maybe you did. Y'all people had a plan B put on somewhere.
no. Just be ready.
So I really appreciate that. That's one of the things that stood out for me, especially in this season.
Oh,
Thank
thanks so
you.
much.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yolande, I'm trying not to be smug right here.
Seriously, now that I can't believe that happened. The last time in season 2, the same thing happened whilst we were
Goodness.
talking about technological issues. Now this is a disgrace. But anyway, I don't know if James has shown the last 2 videos. But
No, not yet.
right, okay. So very quickly, James, we were talking about Natasha's makeup. If you can show us very quickly that video.
It's not going to work. It's frozen.
Right, okay, that's fine. But here what happened on this particular day, just so for those who are listening. This was the day we had the winter wellness walk. And whilst Raquel, Angela, and I went sweaty in a corner somewhere to make sure we could get the podcast going, Natasha had her ride prearranged and everything ready to go home to make sure that her makeup was done. So
And
you
turn
should
up like
have
nothing
seen
happened.
Natasha, and you should have seen the state of the rest of us.
Planned my evening.
Cass,
Oh,
your
my
makeup
The
did follow.
final thing
Don't worry yourself.
I want to share very quickly because I know we're pressed for time. Ezekiel, you commented on this one day in one of the episodes, and you have to agree with me. Natasha is the queen of big words. Ezekiel, do you remember that?
Yeah, I can't
Yes,
remember
this
what
is a
word, but
clip.
I remember, yeah.
This is a clip. Come on, James, please play this.
Normally, if you were to hear that as a person of color, as a Black person, you might be, what's the word I'm looking for? Flummoxed for a while. You might, get caught off guard because you're wondering, why in the world would you say such a thing? What is playing the race card?
Here, listen, for anybody who followed us, she always precedes a big word with, what's the word I'm looking for? And the big word comes out. So those were the blooper moments that I selected.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so
I'm
much.
going to get it next season.
Next season, all the bloopers are going to be about Yolande. I'm telling you.
Yes.
This one that happened tonight is going to be the first one.
Yes.
Well, listen, we are really, really running out of time. But we're going to take a break, as you know, and we're going to come back bigger and stronger in the next season. But we just want to give you an idea of some of the things that we're going to be doing in the interim. So let me go to Raquel. Just shout out. What are the things that we've got in line? What are we doing as Pivot or is on mute now?
Well, Pivot next week will be running a course for diversity where we will be training people about diversity and inclusion, etc. So if you haven't yet found out about it, please go onto our website. Yes, we have a website. Go onto our website. It is www.ukpivot.com, and you will find out all about the course and also various other things that we'll be doing. But I'll leave some for the others. Yes, there we go.
Yep. There we go. Please visit our website and engage with us there. Thank you. Natasha, Yolande, did you have anything to add as well?
Well, with those workshops we've titled Living Color Workshops, and just to add to what Raquel said, it would be run, that, for those of you who don't know what diversity is, that is with partnership with Belfast City Council. And so you see a lot of information on our platforms, social media platforms. For me, I also just want to add that in the background, we have been doing a lot of work with the organization that would have provided us with funding for this season's podcast. So we would have been involved in commissioning some of the work that they're trying to do to create a portfolio of how racial justice projects can be funded. And that would be an interesting thing to see, that they might have some resources that might be able to be shared with other community groups. And I'm sure if that happens, you'll hear a lot about that. For us also, I think we are working precisely on building funding. Raquel, I see you have your hand up.
I'll wait till you finish the sentence.
Right. I know that as a group, we are thinking of a lot of funding streams that we want to apply for to do other projects, and specifically looking at projects that are not just around the podcast only. We want to be able to have maybe collaborative work, events, things like that, that sets us as an organization that is diverse and not just the podcast. So you might look out for some of the things that we're going to be doing. Joe, we're coming to your door as usual for a partnership, for ideas. Nikki, to your door. Ezekiel, and all our audience members, surely please send us suggestions as to things you'd like to see us do. Raquel, yes?
Yes, I just want to take a sober moment now just to remember Marilyn Hindman from NVTV, because last year in our interval, we were working with NRA.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we went to NVTV, and we did a show on NVTV about the projects that came to fruition, and we all just miss her. We're still in shock about the fact that Marilyn has passed away, but just to say that project is also come to completion, and we have the greeting cards from Belfast that we're ready to disseminate to organizations in and around Belfast. And we feel as though it's a nice way to culminate some very poignant work, and especially now at a poignant moment.
Yeah.
I to add to that as well, that with NVTV, I know that most of you guys are media trained as well. It was great to see you guys on television, and NTV provide that space as well. So
yes,
having this is great.
Yeah, and Marilyn, of course, is absolutely pivotal to all of that, and we owe her a lot. And our thoughts and our prayers really are just go out to the family and loved ones.
And the staff of NVTV.
Yes, and the staff of NVTV, absolutely. Okay. Natasha, did you have anything else to say before we?
Just to say that since the other ladies and yourself, Angela, covered most of it, we will be looking for, if you have any suggestions, any topics, any issues that you think are relevant to your community or our community that you'd like us to raise the volume on, please let us know by contacting us on our social media platforms, or send us an email on mutenow1@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to use a couple of your topics in the next season. But just stay tuned.
Absolutely. And I don't want him to think he's getting off the hook. James, would you say hello to our lovely audience members? So that
the legend behind the
scenes. He's staying behind camera. He's staying behind camera.
That's the time we're hidden angels.
I've been too busy laughing. My face is so red. It's been funny,
That's all right.
James has been absolutely amazing.
Your real face.
Real you.
Thanks. Well done. A great show, guys. Absolutely fantastic to be part of it. And user, as has been said many times during the course of this episode, your professionalism and how natural that you are on camera and how you cover for each other as sisters, almost as, not just hosts and friends, but you're an absolute inspiration. So well done to all of you.
Thank you so much, James. And thank you so much for everything that you do. You make it easier for us. Thank you so much. Yeah. And we're just going to continue actually before we wrap up, just to give some shout outs to people and organizations that we have been working with who have been on this show at one point or the other. So ladies, feel free. I'm going to start off with Resourcing Racial Justice, who we had Nusrat and Fazana on the show last week, and they were talking to us and telling us about the work that they do, and I think we've said it over and over again. They have really helped us in terms of funding this particular season. So thank you so much to Resourcing Racial Justice. Raquel, do you want to go next with the next shout out?
No, listen, I have to read this out. The top fan is saying our show should now be called James's Angels rather than Charlie's Angels. Seriously?
Very good. I'll just quickly jump in and say thank you to our guests. Of course, the three we have on tonight, to Nikki, to Ezekiel, to Joe, thank you very much. But of course, we also had Clover Watts, Leah Brown, and what's my lady's name?
Patricia Coulter from Labor Relations.
Labor Relations Agency. So thank you very, very much to all our guests who've been on the show. Yes.
Absolutely. You've been amazing. And of course, we want to say thank you to you, our live audience. Honestly, without you, this season would not have been. Camille, we got to shout you out. In fact, I think we had some names scrolling along. Can we just have that again, James? All those names just kind of scrolling along. You've been absolutely faithful. You've been really, really supportive. And thank you. Philip Robertson, Camille, Joe, Denise Armstrong, Nikki, Michael, Marta, Ezekiel, Geraldine, absolutely been a rock. Next Gen MG, Camille, thank you. El Hanso, Myrtle Johnson, Toys Aitontus. I think I got that right. And Mrs. McKee. You've been amazing.
And Michelle,
absolutely. If we missed anybody, thank you still. I just want to say, I know we're running off, and I just want to say I am very much looking to really try to get as many persons watching, as many persons subscribing. So feel free to share our platform. And as many persons listening, because I know Natasha is always concerned about our listening audience. So thank you, Natasha. So if you we love you,
share our platform, share the podcast, share the live, and you'll be knowing and hearing when we're coming back. Thank you again.
Thank you. Just want to read out a couple of these before we go. So Camille has said laughter is good for the soul. What's the word I'm looking for? Love it. Thank you for loving it. Camille says website is awesome. Hope says what a joyous evening. Yeah, it's been fun, right? Geraldine, carry on with kindness, or we will. Thank you. And Camille just said I love you all. And hug and happiness. Thank you, guys. You've been amazing. Ezekiel, Joe, and Nikki, thank you once again. You guys have been fantastic.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah. And James, again, we love you. And that's a wrap.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening to our On Mute Now podcast. If you would like to be in on our conversations live, follow us on our social media platforms during our live broadcasts. We are at On Mute Now 1 on Twitter and at On Mute Now on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and on your favorite podcast platforms. Like, follow, and rate us on Apple Podcasts and leave us a voice message on Anchor. Like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube channel. If you want to raise the volume on something or contact us, email onmutenow1@gmail.com. Unmute now.